Hello, everyone. My name is Teacher Sydney, and today we are going to be going over the requirements to become a QKids teacher, the hiring process, and the initial screening. Okay, so the requirements. Let's start with the easier ones first. You need to be from the US or Canada and have a neutral accent or relatively neutral. Second, you need to have a computer that meets the specifications of the QKids platform, and you need to have stable internet, and that's a big one. Uh, and also, you need to be able to troubleshoot just a little bit, just enough to get by, not you don't have to be an IT whiz or something like that. Just enough knowledge of how to work a computer to get by. And you need to have at least a minimum availability of 6 hours a week. Now, you may not get booked for those 6 hours, but you need to be available for 6 hours, which is 12 classes, because each class is 30 minutes. Next, you need to, okay, these are the harder ones. You need to have either a bachelor's degree or be working on a bachelor's degree. Um, China just put in some new policies that would require that for ESL teachers. But QKids is still hiring some people with associate's degrees as long as they can provide a TESOL, a TEFL, a CELTA, or an ESL certification. And you can get a TESOL online on Groupon for under $20. Depends on the sale. They have them all the time. And that one will work for now. In the future, you may need to get a more legitimate TESOL, but for now, that is perfectly fine. And it's actually one that QKids recommends for right now. So if you have that, that's great, and you should really think about getting it if you want to be a QKids teacher, even if you are working on a bachelor's or already have a bachelor's. You're gonna want to get a TESOL or one of the other options. Next, you need to have teaching experience, and this teaching experience doesn't necessarily have to be formal teaching experience. You can use tutoring, mentoring, homeschooling your kids, being a camp counselor, anything that shows you know how to work with kids and have experience doing that is perfectly fine to put on your resume. And if you are one of the people that only has an associate's, you really need to pad your resume with things like that, with these experiences with children. Also, if you're applying with only an associate's, you need to have or be working on the TESOL or the other options, but you need to be working on one of those certifications. All right, so let's talk about that initial screening. When you're first applying, when you're on the QKids website, you're going to need to upload the resume that has your teaching experience and all of your educational background on it. You're going to need your availability. Know your availability before you go into the process, and make sure it meets the minimum of the 6 hours a week. That's important. Also, you're going to need to take a screenshot of your computer specifications. What I would do is just Google how to do that if you don't already know, for your specific operating system, and it should tell you what to do. And then you can just screenshot it, upload it. That's done. Easy. Then, the big one, the introduction video. This is the most important part of your application. It is going to make your first impression, really, with the company. So, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to introduce yourself, talk about where you live, give a little bit of your education background, and your experience with kids. And like I said earlier, if you are applying with just an AA, and a TESOL certification or whatever, you're really going to want to play up your experience rather than your education. Make sure you don't go in talking about how you don't have a bachelor's. Talk about what you do have. Talk about how you have an associate's and you have a TESOL certification, and talk about all the experience you have. And that will usually do the trick and make up for not having a bachelor's. Then you need to upload a video. The video, it's an interesting one. When you read this children's story, you need to keep in mind that you're going to be teaching children in another country that don't necessarily speak English very well. So you need to play up the words, you need to act out the story and use your body and your voice to help them understand what you're talking about. So on the QKids website, when you're applying, I'm pretty sure they still have a story there for you to read. When I applied, it was the country mouse and the city mouse. I'm not sure if that's still true, but that's what I had to do, and that's what I chose to do. And all I did was use two little mice that were cat toys, and I just acted it out. I just would go like this and like this as I was reading to show they were talking. Very basic, not very good, but somehow it was good enough to get past. But you can also choose your own story. You don't have to read the story that's on there. You can choose your own. And this is probably the preferred option because then you can practice a little bit more and have props or specific gestures that you are comfortable with. So let's see. This is not what I use, so let me just find a good page. All right, so this page right here. This is a good one. So it says, the orange is sweet, but it is too juicy. It makes Pete's paws sticky. Now, you want to talk slowly, you want to talk clearly, and you want to act it out. So you don't have to do some giant scene, but the orange is sweet. Like, sweet. You're happy, you like sweet food. But it is too juicy. And then it makes Pete's paws sticky. Something like that. Just some really acting it out. And don't worry, because you're going to look like a fool. People are going to think you're crazy when you're doing this. It's just a part of it. It only gets worse through the hiring process. So if you gotta just push past it, and if you're afraid to do that, then this probably isn't the right job for you. But yeah, you're gonna look like a fool. But after you do that, then usually after you submit and apply and all of that, usually it takes 2 to 3 business days for them to get back to you with an answer on if you're moving forward to demo interview 1. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of the requirements and the process and all of that, yeah, I think you guys are ready to apply. In my next video, I'll be talking about demo interview 1, so you can watch that when you get to that step. And also, when you're applying, make sure to use the link below. That's my referral link. And usually, or so I've heard, that usually helps speed up the process a little bit. So click down on that link and that'll take you to the application. And yeah, you can comment questions or yeah, questions about the company, questions about the process, whatever, and I'll answer them. And yeah, so very good. All right, well, thank you for watching, and yeah, like, comment, subscribe, like, whatever YouTubers do, and yeah, thanks.